So let's say we're talking about, what is it? Oh, so like the planning, the departments, how can you see how they're set up? Like, the branches,
In what department?
all of them.
There is actually in the budget book, which I don't know that you got because you were point of after we did the budget.
I think I did get a budget.
Did you get
I
there?
did
Should,
get it.
there should be a tree in the budget book, in the front of the budget book that has all the departments and how it goes down.
Okay.
But if it doesn't, I know we have one somewhere.
Gotcha.
Because
I
it
think-
should have like city manager all the way down the chain of all the different.
I can find it.
I don't know if it's on Haley. Haley should have a copy of it.
All right,
And I
folks,
think I can-
we do have our technical issues resolved. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m.
Let me see that.
I'm going to ask everybody to turn off your cell phones or put them on silent. Those numbers, please make sure that your cell phones are away. And if we can start this evening with a moment of silence. And if we can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Domingo, can you take roll call for us, please?
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Reed,
Present.
Jackson,
Here.
Lawler,
Here.
and Mayor Snyder.
Here. Do I have a motion to approve of the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Any additions or deletions? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. So we will start this evening with a few presentations. First, we have Kirsten Borgstrom, who is here via Zoom to walk us through our Albion communication plan. Kirsten, can you hear us?
I can, thank you.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you. And just a quick question before we get started. Has everyone seen the plan, or do I have the capabilities of sharing my screen if you want me to actually show it as we go through it?
We're given permission. But we do also have that plan in front of us too.
Okay, okay, fantastic. Then I will not, no need to do that. So believe it or not, this plan actually was going back to January of 2019. Place and Main Advisors, my company here in East Lansing, Michigan, was brought on board to create a communications plan for the city of Albion as part of Project Rising Tide. If you recall, PRT was a state initiative to support vibrant and thriving communities and help create sustainable paths toward economic stability. So one of the components of Project Rising Tide was the ability for us to put together a communications plan to ensure that you're communicating from a citywide level with all of your different target audiences, be it residents, businesses, and potential visitors. So the goal of this communications plan was to increase the stakeholder engagement and community understanding of the city services. These goals should mirror the overall goals of the community. We did some research and throughout a variety of meetings, we were looking at the 2017 comprehensive plan, utilizing those goals to make sure that what we were talking about in the communications plan matched what the city was putting forward. From there, we took a look at the target audiences the who the city should be talking with, the groups of people that you want to reach with the city message, and identified not just your residents, but businesses, visitors, and all of the different respective groups that might fall into those different categories. From there, we looked at the process for successful and timely communication. Through this process, and some of this may have changed over the past couple of years, but we're looking at the appropriate staff, board members, volunteers, etc., that have the means and ability to help carry forward the messages to the target audiences. Of course, then we needed to determine what the best way to communicate with each one of these different groups is. Making sure that the message is heard. We need to make sure that we're communicating at the level where an audience might be looking for their information, whether it's on the radio, in print, or via social media. We made recommendations for the different mediums and channels that should and could be used. And from there, we started looking at key messages that would help create those positive engagement and messages with your community. These, of course, should mirror the goals from the comprehensive plan, but also carry the same sentiment as the brand statement that was created during the branding process that was also part of Project Rising Tide. From there, lastly, we included sample media materials as well as how and when to utilize each of those different pieces, how and when to utilize social media, and then templates as well as a media list for target communication to a variety of publications, both in the area as well as the surrounding areas and statewide for potential business communication. Those media lists were created and shared. So in a nutshell, that is the Albion Communications Plan.
Do we have any questions for Kirsten?
Can I ask you a question?
All right, well, we thank you for being with us this evening. I guess we don't have any questions at this time, but we appreciate the information and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, you too. And if questions do arise, please certainly reach out. Happy to answer anything.
Will do. Thank you again.
Thank you.
At this time, do we have Jacques Harris? Was he planning on being in person or online? Do we know?
He requested online, did he, Joe?
I don't think I saw. I don't remember him asking for
Supposed to be here in person.
Councilwoman Walden, were you gonna? No? I thought you were gonna say something.
No.
Okay. All right, then we'll turn it over to Miss Whitney. We'll have her come back up again. Sorry about that initial confusion.
Alrighty, good evening again. My name is Whitney Wardell. I'm the Director of Housing Initiatives for Neighborhoods Incorporated. And I wanted to go ahead and speak to you all tonight in regards to Neighborhoods Inc. and what we are doing and what we would like to do here in the Albion community. As stated, I see that you all have some of the flyers here for the Albion Marshall Connector. So this is a new program that we are now starting to roll out with the ALICE program that we are it's a pilot program that we're working on with Neighborhoods Incorporated. The ALICE program is for asset limited, income constrained, and employed. So with this particular program that we are running, which is our transportation assistance, we are providing bus passes to individuals who are currently employed to use those to get between Marshall and Albion. They can pick those up from our case managers at the CRAM building on Mondays and Tuesdays between 9 a.m. and 4:30 p.m. The next thing that I would like to talk about is our HARA, which is Calhoun County Housing Services. And our HARA is the Housing Assessment Resource Agency for Calhoun County. Each county has their own HARA, if you all are not familiar. With the Calhoun County Housing Services, what we are here to do is to provide services and resources to individuals who are currently experiencing homelessness or possibly facing eviction. Some of the programs that we have within the HARA is mainly for our county, which is our Emergency Solutions Grant, or as you will hear a lot of acronyms, ESG. And this particular program can assist anybody with a security deposit and up to 6 months worth of rental assistance. I've left some of our flyers here so they can give a call to our office. We would complete an intake, and then at that time, we can determine if they found housing here or anywhere throughout Calhoun County, and again, assist them with that security deposit and 6 months worth of rental assistance. We also have the CERA program, which unfortunately may be coming to an end here in June, but with CERA, we can assist individuals who are currently experiencing a hardship with paying their back rent, and we can use that program to help them get caught up and also provide some assistance to help them with future rental assistance for about up to 3 months as well. Some of the other programs that we are working with, if you all have individuals who are within the city of Battle Creek city limits, we do have a CDBG, which is a Community Development Block Grant Program, as well as a TBRA, that is tenant-based rental assistance, where we can assist with rental arrears and also some security deposits. So of course, we don't want to take people from Albion, but if they are individuals that would like to move to the city of Battle Creek, there's also funding there to assist them. May I answer any questions? Yes.
Councilwoman Lawler.
Okay, do you also help with those that are struggling with their homes as far as like a roof, hot water heaters, anything like that?
So typically, Neighborhoods Incorporated does have an FHLBI grant that will assist with that. Unfortunately, we did not receive FHLBI funds this year, but if individuals are struggling with that, I would suggest reaching out to Community Action or possibly even MISTA. I know that the state right now does have a program called the My Half program, and they can go onto the MISTA website and they can receive assistance if they're currently experiencing a hardship with mortgages and property taxes.
Just a quick question. I don't know if I missed it. Can you share your hours here for the Albion, your Albion facility, what your hours are?
Yes, so we are located in the CRAM building, and our hours are Mondays and Tuesdays. That can change as we start to pick up a volume, but right now, Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m.
Are appointments required, or do you allow walk-ins?
Right now, we are accepting walk-ins. We want to kind of, rev up as much as we can. I think once we've started to reach a very high capacity, we'll look at having more dates and then possibly taking appointments. But we want everybody to come and see us, so.
Gotcha.
Yes, Councilman Williams.
Thank you. Are you guys doing the lead abatement through this office as well?
Yes, we are doing lead abatement. That is through Dennis McKinley, and that is a program also with the city of Battle Creek. But Dennis will also start to come over to the Albion office. I believe you'll have the Albion e-news. I've provided Rod Otten with some of that information, and he's going to be able to share that to the Albion e-news as well.
Perfect.
Any other questions? Well, we appreciate you being here to give us this very useful information. We appreciate your presence in the community. It's much needed, and I'm sure once word gets out, you're going to be very busy.
Yes, Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
So at this time, we will open up the floor for public comments in regards to agenda items only. So if there's anybody in the gallery that would like to stand, just give us your name, address, and you will have 3 minutes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Lang. I live at 810 Haven Road, which is in Precinct 6. So I'm here to appeal that, advocate for Andy French's appointment to the vacant council seat in Precinct 6. Of the 3 candidates, he's the only one who has ever been elected to represent that precinct in the past. He's got tons of experience, and I think his appointment would really be of benefit to the voters in Precinct 6, because he's a known entity, and he's been elected not once but twice. So I think the best outcome of this is his appointment for the vacancy tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else in the gallery like to stand? Do we have anybody on that would like to speak? All right. So we will go ahead and move to our consent calendar items. In our packets, we had the minutes for our May 2nd study session, our May 2nd regular council meeting, and then our May 9th special session. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
Questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Next on the agenda is selecting a candidate to fill Precinct 6. Many of you saw the email that Devin Mays has pulled her application. So we have the application for Andrew French, who is present, along with Ms. Gwen Garcia, who is also present. So I will open it up for discussion. Oh, I'm sorry, motion.
Motion for one of the candidates and ask for the second.
Correct.
Do we have a motion? To select a candidate?
A motion to select Andrew French.
I support. Do we have a discussion on this?
You can just vote, unless someone wants to have a discussion.
Unless anybody was compelled to make another motion?
Oh, you have a motion on the first.
So you can just go with that one,
Yeah.
so we just need to.
All right. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. So at this time, we will swear in Mr. Andrew French as Precinct 6 council member.
Can we thank Ms. Garcia?
Yeah, I will.
If you will raise your right hand, repeat after me. I, Andrew French,
I, Andrew French,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United
of the
States
United States
and of this state,
and of this state,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully and impartially,
faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the City of Albion,
of the City of Albion,
Precinct 6,
Precinct
Councilman.
6, private councilman.
So help me God.
So help me God.
You will just sign right there for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's a packet right there for you. Yep, you can choose one of those.
Ms. Garcia, at this time, I would like to personally thank you for putting in your application to represent that precinct as well. It's not, uncommon for somebody new to want to get involved, and we really hope that you do continue your involvement with the community. Kind of like you heard, we do have several boards and commissions that have vacant seats, so I believe that we'll be able to find you a spot that would serve you well and serve our community. So I hope this is not the last that we see of you.
It is absolutely not.
So, yes.
If I might add, I've agreed in a negotiated agreement with my wife that I will serve until November, and then, until the July deadline for applying for 6th Precinct, and I'll serve through that the rest of Shane Williamson's term, but it is not yet decided whether I will continue, so I would encourage you to reach out to me and we can have a conversation. If you wish to run for city council by election, you can spend the next 6 months getting to know the precinct and talking to people, and then a fair election will happen. So I would encourage you to do that.
I thank you very much, and I would love to connect with you for that reason and others.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah.
And we appreciate you bringing along the young one.
I appreciate that he's kind of been pretty.
Yeah. I know, you always keep your fingers crossed that they don't misbehave. Well, we appreciate you.
No, I plan on applying for the downtown development authority, and I plan to become involved in several things.
Great.
And so it's helpful in giving me some information about that. And, I definitely want to be involved, and I want to work with you.
Thank you.
We're neighbors.
Absolutely.
We'll work together.
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful.
Thank you.
All right, do I have a motion to approve the resolution 2221 to declare precinct 5 council seat vacant?
So moved.
Support.
Attorney Harkness?
Yeah, so this is exactly like the last time this came up with Precinct 6. This resolution just declares the seat vacant under our charter, and it starts the 60-day clock running for where the council has to appoint someone to the Precinct 5 seat. My understanding that, I think last time we got the application posted the next day, so, but that's what this resolution does. It officially declares the seat vacant, accepts Councilwoman Lanou's resignation, and we start that process.
Questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the Albion Communications Plan.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So as part of Project Rising Tide, we received technical assistance to help us develop a formal communications plan back in 2019. However, with the transition in the city manager's office and then the ending of the Project Rising Tide, it was never brought forward to City Council for formal approval. We just heard the presentation from Ms. Borgstrom on how that plan was developed, so I'm recommending approval so that we can begin utilizing some of the tools that have been identified within the communications plan.
Do you have any questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the proposal for the additional professional engineering service fees.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Snyder.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's been shared now at several meetings that the city, we were able to secure an additional $375,000 in federal funds to go towards the Haven Road Improvements Project, which is scheduled to take place next year. With the additional grant funding, we're able to expand the scope of that project to include River Street from South Monroe to South Superior Street. So before you is the formal proposal from Whiteman Associates for the engineering fees to include that expanded scope to this project, and we are recommending approval.
Do we have questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the sewer easement title work expenditure.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So through the USDA RD program that we are using for the wastewater treatment project, the upgrade project, we are required to, our city attorney must sign off acknowledging that we have official sewer easement for 215 parcels. A lot of these parcels, when the original wastewater treatment plant, it was built many years ago, so we should technically have formal documentation of this. However, we have to be able to provide proof saying that we actually do have this. So the city will release a formal RFP back in March to solicit a company to assist us with identifying the easements for the 215 parcels. However, we received no response. So Attorney Harkness, he did reach out to Untitled, who did provide us with a formal quote to complete their work. So we were just recommending approval so that we can move forward with getting that work completed. I would like to share that this service, it is a reimbursable expense. So we do have to pay to have the service completed, but we will be reimbursed for covering that cost through the USDA loan. Attorney Harkness, if you have any additional information.
And like I mentioned during the discussion session, we may have the easements, but the city's sewer infrastructure is so old. I've got to imagine that these easements are 50 years or more old. And so once we have them, I think we should, obviously our clerk will maintain them, but we should probably also digitize them and keep them so that if anything comes up regarding these 215 parcels again in the future, we'll have them. But the city manager pretty much covered it. We have to certify that we have the legal right to enter and deal with the sewer infrastructure on these parcels. And quite frankly, we can't certify that because we just don't know if easements were ever obtained.
Yep.
Thank you. Do we have any idea how many of each of these that we're missing or unaware of?
As far as, other than possibly the city-owned parcels, most of them.
Okay.
So we won't know the total cost until Devon Title completes the work, but I would be happy to share what that final cost is once the work is done.
It's ballpark around 40,000.
Okay.
Ballpark.
Any other questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the Enterprise Fleet Management Program for the second round purchases.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So, City Council, you guys approved to enter, or to start to utilize the Enterprise Fleet Management Program back on January 19th of 2021. The first round included the purchase or lease of 5 pickup trucks for the streets, park, and cemetery departments. I'm happy to share this program has been well worthwhile for our DPW department. The lease, they are 24-month lease, or meaning our first round is set, the lease is set to expire next year. Upon expiration of that lease, we have the option to purchase the trucks, and we could own them, or we can work with Enterprise to sell them. Director Miller, he has received an estimated sale price just based off the market. We could sell the current trucks for roughly $55,000 per truck, resulting in anywhere between a $15,000 to $20,000 profit per truck, which would go into our equipment pool fund that we would continue to utilize not only this fleet management program, but possibly purchase additional equipment for the DPW. So like I said, this is a well worth investment that the city has decided to pursue and take advantage of. So now we are just looking for formal approval to purchase our next round of trucks. So we are looking to purchase 5 more trucks, 2 pickup trucks for the sewer department, 1 pickup and 1 service truck for the water department, and 1 dump truck for the cemetery. We are hoping to have the trucks arrive upon approval by the end of the summer. However, we could have a delay. We purchased the last round at the beginning of last year, and we did not receive them until the end of August. So fingers crossed that we receive them a lot sooner than what we did last year. The monthly lease payment for all 5 trucks will be $3,284.78 per month, and this will be split between the water, sewer, and equipment pool funds. So we are just recommending approval.
Do you have any questions or comments? I think that price for 5 trucks is a pretty good deal.
It's a very good deal.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Jackson,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve the purchase of the cat backhoe.
So moved.
Support.
Director Miller?
Evening. So this is my recommendation to purchase a new backhoe from Caterpillar. Our current backhoe is a 2001. It has a myriad of issues. We have talked to a couple different repair companies, and they advised us based on the year, the hours, and the shape of it, it's not worth repairing. So we've sought out to replace that. Before you see the new backhoe is $175.98. That is a my deal pricing. That is the lowest pricing throughout the state. We have secured some of the funding so far with our auction that we've had. We've made about $56,000 from that. So I'd like to put that towards the backhoe. And then we're going to trade in some of the other old equipment that we have. And they gave us a value of that equipment at $69,000. So deduct both of those from the cost of the new backhoe. We need to come up with $51,000 to purchase this backhoe. This unit has everything we need as a DPW. It has the extended hoe, has the thumb on the hoe. It has a 4-way grapple bucket. It has a jackhammer attachment so we can actually break through the asphalt without ruining our backhoe. That's one thing they definitely recommended to stop doing, beating the asphalt with the backhoe. So yeah, that's what I'm here for.
So the current backhoe that we have, how old is that?
2001.
2001. So over 20 years.
Yeah.
So it'll cut through asphalt?
Yeah, it has a jackhammer attachment that'll break through the asphalt, as opposed to us with the backhoe beating it.
So it will do the horseshoe pit.
Yep, we'll do the horseshoe pit.
And hopefully the next thing you're gonna ask for is a bucket truck.
I hope so.
Do we have questions or comments for Director Miller about this?
Just one, as stated in the study session earlier, this is, after speaking with Director Miller, one of the most utilized pieces of equipment in the DPW. It's used by our streets, cemetery, water, and sewer department. So it gets plenty of hours and plenty of use by all departments.
Yeah, for sure.
And so for the line item that we're looking to take the 51,000 out of,
Would be the equipment pool.
okay. And do we know how much is in there right now?
I don't know.
I say he here. I seen him back there.
Good evening. This would be a capital asset purchase, so in the equipment pool, instead of being in an expense like you'd see in general fund or something, it would be a balance sheet asset. So it won't actually require like a budget amendment or anything like that. And don't hold me to this, I'm going off memory, but I think there was 200 and some thousand last I looked in the equipment pool fund, somewhere in that ballpark. As a matter of fact, yeah, you probably got, but dig back through in the council reports there, it's probably in the back.
It's in the back part. I was
Yeah,
looking to
in
see
the
which
cash.
page it was
What's
on.
the fund?
661. Should be cashed somewhere.
One's the last page.
There it is.
On the last page, you said?
Yes, the last
Oh,
page.
I'm sorry.
89,582.64 as of March.
I'm not sure why it's.
That's the cash.
Right, because this is of March.
Yeah.
They should have.
331.
They should have an
331.
investment fund in there too, maybe this report may not be picking it up.
Okay.
Because of the date.
Yeah, they,
This is the period ending March
Yeah.
31st.
Yeah, so we're a couple months out, so.
Correct.
So there'll
like
be
I
some
said, I think
adjustments,
there's
yeah.
investment, some of the money's in the investment fund, it's probably not being picked up in that report. I'll look into it for sure.
All right. Do we have any other questions or comments? Either of our gentlemen here? No? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed. Yes. Jackson,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Thank you, gentlemen. Motion to approve the city manager contract addendum.
So moved.
So moved. Support.
City manager, or city attorney Hartness?
Yeah, so this is a very simple amendment requested by the city manager under, you've got subsection C there. It basically just allows for a one-time carryover of an additional 74 hours of paid time off, just for the 2022 to 2023 year. Ordinarily, the city manager is allowed to carry over 80 hours a year, but as she's indicated, the past year, there was no assistant city manager. And so this is a one-time thing to allow her to use it. Just for clarification, 74 hours equates to roughly 9.2 days or something like that. And the current, the way that her current contract is, she would have to use all of that time by early June, I believe.
June 4th.
June 4th, so.
9.2 hours.
Where are you going?
9.2 hours.
Days.
I'm sorry.
I'm going by hours.
It's been a long month.
Yes, it's not days.
Yes.
Yes, if I can just add a minute.
Yep.
It's actually 9.25.
Okay, there we go.
Yes, with just being the sole employee in my office for the majority of last year, and then with the addition of the assistant city manager, I felt it was not appropriate to take a lot of vacation time so that I can work with Ms. Ridge to get her well accustomed to what's going on in the city. As I've shared with you, I will be going off on an extended leave here in August, so I don't feel that it's now the best time to go off on a long-term vacation. I'm wanting to make sure that my staff are fully prepped and prepared to continue to move forward with city business in my absence. So this is just a one-time request, and it will be used prior to year end.
Any questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to approve closure of City Hall for the Employee Appreciation Picnic.
So moved.
Support.
City Manager Snyder.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So to recognize the Juneteenth holiday, an employee appreciation picnic, employee and city council appreciation picnic has been scheduled or will be held on Friday, June 10th. I'm working with Councilmember Reed to put on this event. Similar to years past, prior to COVID, we would close City Hall down at noon and have a summer employee appreciation picnic, as well as in the winter time to have our annual Christmas parade. Once COVID hit, we stopped doing that, but now we are looking to recognize the Juneteenth holiday and also just show our staff a little appreciation. So we're requesting to close City Hall at noon on Friday, June 10th, to allow all employees to take advantage of the event.
Do we have any questions or comments? City Clerk Domingo? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman French?
Sorry, just to put it all in context, when is the city planning its annual Juneteenth? Are there plans for Juneteenth celebration? And will that be around that same time, or is it a couple weeks later?
Yes.
Councilwoman Reed, do you want to?
It's what?
Juneteenth?
Juneteenth is 19th. It's the 18th. So this is the weekend, the Friday before the weekend.
Okay.
So Councilmember Reed, she serves on that committee and is going to be very busy that following weekend putting on that event. So we are going to honor or celebrate the holiday with city staff the Friday before, and then the citywide event will be that following Saturday.
Okay, thank you.
And this will be held in Holland Park.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Lawler,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Motion to open the discussion of the ARPA funds.
So moved.
You don't need a motion, just discussion.
Discussion. Yeah, I'm sorry. Should have said that too.
City Manager Snyder?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the City Council, we held a special meeting back on July 29th, 2021 to discuss using the city's American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA funds. The items identified at that July presentation, they were based off of the interim final rule that was issued by the U.S. Department of Treasury. The final rule provided 4 eligible categories. The final rule for using ARPA funds was released on January 6, 2022, and went into effect on April 1st, 2022. So the final rule is a 400-page document which provides local governments with more direction and greater certainty on how to utilize the ARPA dollars. Per the final rule, if your municipality received less than $10 million, you can allocate the ARPA funds solely towards revenue loss. The city of Albion, we have had a sizable reduction in population according to the 2020 census, so that is going to have an effect on our state revenue sharing as well as a multitude of the city's revenue. So the population decline, it will impact the city's revenues for many years to come. To share just an update on our ARPA funds, we received $882,955.44 in ARPA funding. We have expensed $47,776.48 in hazard pay to city public safety officers as well as DPW employees, as it was budgeted and approved by City Council in the 2022 city budget, leaving a total of $835,178.69 available in ARPA funding. So right now, City Administration, we are recommending preserving the remaining ARPA dollars in the city's general fund as allotted by the final rule to have revenues available to offset our lost revenues, which right now are a little unknown. Director Mead we have provided some information at your table. We will go over, kind of giving you an estimate on lost revenues for the city. But all of the webinars and trainings that I've attended so far that address ARPA funding, they really stress utilizing your ARPA dollars and leveraging them to take advantage of other grant opportunities that are out there to really make the most use of your ARPA dollars. Unfortunately, the city of Albion, we are not one of the lucky communities who receive millions of dollars in ARPA funds. So we are trying to be mindful of how we spend this. So right now, we're just recommending that we keep it in the general fund to obviously offset any revenue loss, but then take advantage of any grant opportunities that become available. So I will ask Director Mead if you would like to come up and go over the materials that were provided at the...
Go on the screen.
I think Jill's working to get it up there.
Which one do you want up there?
His first screen, which actually is the first. Is from the state website. It's kind of summarizes what, as we talked, the census, the 2020 census resulted in a drop, according to the state numbers, about 923 people here in Albion. And unfortunately, revenue sharing is the population is a part of the factor that determines how much revenue sharing we will get. And of course, being a 2020 census, it was effective in 2020. The problem is the state didn't actually start using that number until recently, early 22. And of course, the state, bear in mind, they're on a 10/1 to 9/30 fiscal year. So it's a little tricky when you're trying to compare the state's year. When they tell you how much you're going to get a year, that's their year, not our year and stuff. But at any rate, what they basically did, you know, if you scroll down some, Joe, on that, they had they showed us what we had been paid from end of 20, so October 1st through the end of 20, all of 21, and early 22, and then they showed us what we should have been paid. And the difference, the lower number obviously, is because of our population decline. So as you can see, for 10/20 through 9/21, those payments resulted in a loss of $105,000. And then in the short period of time, just going from 10/1 of 21 through, I think it went through February of 22, it resulted in a loss of $57,000. So if you annualize that second column, spread it out over the rest of the year, we would have lost, or we would anticipate losing $138,000 for this year, and then $105 last year. So if you look to the chart, to the next tab, the chart. That's what I kind of did at the top was just basically went back and looked at our historical revenue sharing numbers. Obviously, the 2020 numbers aren't going to kick in until 2020. And I also put down in the bottom that lower line kind of what the state has given us as an increase each year in revenue sharing dollars. And if you scroll down on that, Jill, please, or hit the print button, either one, there you go. You can see that because of the state's been increasing our revenue sharing a little bit each year, we're on a nice steady increase. And then all of a sudden, from October 1st, 20 till December 20, it started to drop a little bit. And then it really dropped in 21 when we got a full year of the lower population. And assuming that, we're at a lower population, assuming that they continue that average of about 3.5% increase, it should, continue to increase down, but it's going to increase at a lot lower level. So going forward, we're going to be about 2 years behind on revenue sharing in a sense. I mean, what we anticipate getting next year is only going to bring us back to where we would have been had we not had the lower numbers or lower population this year, if that makes sense. So even though it may continue going up, you kind of got hit, all our expenses, nothing went down on any of our expenses, but all of a sudden our revenue that we count on, this is almost a third of our general fund revenue, it dropped, and it's going to stay at that lower level now going forward, so we're going to have kind of a gap. So that's one thing we want to be conscientious of, and as we go forward. And if you, go ahead and click on that. Apologize, I got these a little bit out of order. If you go to the last 2 pages that you have in your, of this packet here. This again is a screen right off the state website, and it's for Act 51 money. And again, Act 51 money is based on population, and if you'll, there's a couple things. There's a factor up above, it tells you, based on your population, it tells you, we're obviously 2,001 to 10,000, so we have a 1.1 factor. That's kind of immaterial for this. But if you scroll down, we put in our miles of major streets, and they give us basically $59.20 per population. Why? I don't know. That's just the way they've always factored it. So our Act 51 money is actually based on our population. So the left two columns show that are grayed out, or kind of grayed there, shows what we would have received had we not had the decline in population, and the right in red shows what we will receive going forward with our reduced population. So in the current year, we'll lose almost $73,000 for street funding just because of our population loss, which obviously is, streets are, we need more of, not less of. So obviously, and if you jump to the next tab, and scroll down, not that this is anything deep. I mean, you obviously can see it's just showing it's a pretty good drop from where we were historically. So again, that's something I like to see when you're trying to pick streets. So if you can close that one, Jill, and open the income tax one.
So Tom, if I can ask a question on that last screen. So when it says major miles 18.67, where's that number coming from?
I'm sorry, major mile, that should be our miles of major streets versus local streets. Down below, you see the local street is 28.42. I don't know, I mean, Patrick would have to jump in to say if that's exact, but that's what the state has us at based on their records. Every I think it's annually. They send a big map out that lists all the local, and they have them color coded to local and major, and you kind of go through it and just make sure we agree with what they say. So that's where those numbers come from. They're saying we got 18.67 miles of major and 28.42 of local. And for the local streets, I didn't hit on that, but those you only get $19.73 per person. So again, I don't know, I guess they assume that it costs more to maintain a major than maybe a local.
So there's, sorry, thank you. There is no population factor for local streets?
Yes, there is.
Then that's missing.
The 8616, and then right next to it is the 7693
Right.
for 2020, multiplied by that 1973, and it gives you
But
the
there's
number.
but there's no 1.1, what I'm
No,
asking.
that's just a factor for,
For major streets.
yeah, I'm not sure what that factor does exactly. That's just a, like I said, that doesn't pertain to population. Other than your population tells you what factor you get, the 1.1, but it's not multiplied by.
So it's not as it's written, 18.67 times 1.1.
This.
17,000 gives you 350.
On major it is, so.
You don't get that on minor.
Correct, so,
Okay, that's all.
if we look at the very top, the 8616, your population is times 5920, and you get that. Then you also get, in addition to that, you get the miles of streets factored at 1.1, and then they come up with a unit value of 17. Now that's something the state does. I don't know exactly, where they come up with that. I'm only looking at the population for decline for major and the population decline for local.
Okay.
But just to clarify, yes, there is no factor for local streets. That 1.1, I don't know. This spreadsheet is, like I said, right from the state. All we do is plug in the numbers and boom, it spits them out. So, any other questions on that? I'm sorry, did you have a question?
Nope, I was just trying to figure that out.
Oh, okay. So going back to income tax, kind of a similar type thing. Income tax is kind of tricky for a lot of reasons. Number one, you have that overlap where people are turning in their return from the prior year. You know, they're filing this year, but it's really for the prior year, at least up through April. Where corporations, on the other hand, are submitting the withholdings at each month, each pay or whatever. So you got some crossover on how things are looked at. You also have delays. Sometimes the trickle down it takes a little longer to get to income tax. But the other thing that made it really tricky for us to try to look at is, if you recall, it's been 3 years ago maybe, we talked to you about contracting with innovative software, which the name software, but they also do contractual income tax assistance to help us collect a lot of the delinquent taxes we had. So what we took in 21 was actually more than what we generally take in. But that was because those aggressive efforts to collect the delinquents are really starting to pay off, and we're getting a lot more from older years coming in. So what I did is I tried to go in and not look at, like deduct the old years and just look at the current. In doing that, I came up with the top line there is what we actually took in 17, 18, 19, and kind of and estimating what the current portion of 20s was and the current portion of 21s was. Obviously, you can see 20 had a pretty good dip without even doing any kind of math. I mean, it kind of made sense. That was the year that everything was closed down, people were working from home, everything else. I also then, on the next line, is just like a trend to show, had we not seen, I base it on the first 3 years, and had we not seen the COVID hit, what we would anticipated the trend to continue, because we were on a pretty steady trend upward through 17 and through 19. So if you scroll down, Jill, to I think it's down. So again, it's the same type of thing as we see with revenue sharing. Hopefully 2020 is the bottom, and hopefully now that trend that we had in the past 3 years will continue now as we rebuild. But still, you know, you've come down, and it may continue, but you're going to be continuing at a lower level than had we not had the hit in 2020. So again, what's helping us on income tax, we're bringing in a lot of delinquent stuff now, and that really helped us a lot in 2020, 2021 particularly, for the whole general fund, because revenues were down. But you know, those can only last so long. You know, we're hopefully eventually going to get most of those collected and do a better job trying to, you know, keep it current. So can't rely on that forever. So I guess to go with what Manager Snyder was saying, we want to try to be mindful that, you know, we have through 26 to spend this. We don't know really what's going to happen with income tax the next couple of years. Revenue sharing, the state fortunately made us whole on some of that lost revenue, but that's temporary. It's not going to continue on. So we will definitely, for the next 10 years now, till the next census, unless they, you know, a lot of communities took a pretty good hit in the 2020 census. There's been a lot of discussion at the state to try to have the state reconsider somehow, because, you know, especially college communities, they took huge hits, U of M and East Lansing stuff, with students being gone and everything else. So I don't know, you know, unless there's...
We did too.
Yeah.
I would argue that the 900 is the number of students that weren't counted.
Could very well be, absolutely, you know. So, you know, it's just, we don't know what the state's going to do going forward, what the federal government will do, and it's even kind of hard to estimate exactly what will happen locally with income tax. And another thing too is, I've talked to a lot of people that when they started working from home because they were forced to from COVID, a lot of them are still, that the company kind of adopted that and said, hey, this is working, let's just continue it. I don't think we have quite as much of that in Albion as some communities, some types of industry or business. But, you know, that's another thing too. We don't really know how much we're going to rebound because there's a lot of unknowns. So that's one reason we're really advocating to, you know, let's try to be safe and cautious and hold a little bit of this and kind of see where things play out as we go forward. So, questions?
Do you have any questions for Director?
By the way, the income tax and revenue sharing are obviously we really have three major things in our general fund. You know, the three big contributors: income tax, property tax, and revenue sharing, and they're all pretty close. Then there's you know, a lot of miscellaneous things, but those three are definitely the top three. They're all about $1 million or so, give or take, each year. When two of them are down, you know, that's huge. That's not money that's spread out to other funds. You know, this is all general fund, and that's where we need it the most. So it hits hard when it's in the general fund. So.
And if I could just add, any use of additional ARPA funds before they are spent, we will obviously bring it to council for formal approval.
Any questions or comments? Yeah, Councilman French.
Tom,
Yep.
how big is our rainy day fund now?
You guys are asking me these questions off the top of my head. We are, I can tell you our percentage, well, roughly, I think we're still running about 32, if I remember, 30, 31, maybe somewhere, and it's probably, give or take, near $1 million, I would say, somewhere in that ballpark.
Percent?
Again, $1 million,
Oh, okay.
about 31% or 30, I can't remember exactly when we did, where we ended. Well, I can tell you this, the number that we brought to council for getting approved, you know, we always do a projected or where we anticipate the current year ending when we get the New Year's budget approved. We have ended up doing well, much better than what we had anticipated. So we're going to be better than what we reflected or projected back then. And part of that is because we're always trying to do the current year very conservatively, so we don't have any overruns. But I think we had looked at, you know, close to a $200,000 loss, and I think it's going to be about a $400,000 to $1,000 swing. I think we're going to be closer to $200,000 in the black, but I don't know. Again, it's preliminary. Haven't seen the numbers yet from the audit, you know, all the auditor adjustments or anything like that. So, but I don't know, does that help?
Yes.
Ballpark.
Yep. Ballpark's all I need at the moment.
Okay.
Councilman Lawler had her hand up.
No, thank you. He answered it.
Oh, okay.
Mayor Pro Tem Jackson?
Yes, I wanted to ask Haley something. So just correct me if I'm wrong. So we did approve, you had some COVID money that came through?
Yes.
For the DPW, correct?
Correct, yes.
And so did anyone have to take any vacation or sick time off for COVID? Or was that money, did that go towards that, if they had to take a leave or something for COVID?
No, so all city employees, back when COVID initially hit, the state, they extended the FMLA leave, which required employees, it was classified under FMLA, so they were not required to use any sick or vacation time. That extension expired December 31 of 2020, which then resulted in employees needing to use sick or vacation time to cover any time being off due to COVID. So currently, all employees, if unfortunately if you come down with COVID, you are required to use your sick and vacation time. So we requested to provide hazard pay to DPW and public safety officers. If you can recall, I enrolled the remaining city employees into the state work share program, which preserved roughly a little $50,000 into our general fund. So that allowed us to furlough every employee by 1 day. But due to the work duties and responsibilities of the DPW and public safety, they were not eligible to take advantage of that program. So that's why we requested, it was up to they could be issued $300 per quarter, up to $1,500 per employee, to offer them kind of an incentive for all of their hard work in working throughout the duration of the COVID pandemic. So all city employees have received some type of benefit through COVID, whether you received the furlough day and the additional $300 that was provided through the state unemployment office, or you received the hazard payout through ARPA funds. And that was included in the 2022 budget, which was approved by City Council.
Good. All right. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you, Director Mead. Next, we're on to our discussion on the boards and commissions appointment process. City Manager Snyder?
Yeah, so this was a future agenda item that was requested at our last meeting. So just to kind of share the application process, so an individual applies online through the city's website. The clerk's office then receives that application. Upon receipt of the application, it is sent to departments for internal checks. That includes finance, human resources, code enforcement, and through the city clerk's office. Once all of those checks are completed, any eligible candidate info is sent to mayor for review and formal recommendation to city council for approval. So the mayor reviews those, determines if there are vacant seats within the boards, and he or she, they bring forward their formal recommendation to city council for approval. And then I've also included the open board seats that we currently have for all of our boards and commissions for information.
Questions or comments? All right. On to our discussion of the city procedures for new board and commission term limits. Attorney Harkness?
So there was a question about, from a recent appointee that questioned why, when she was appointed to the board, that the term was only for 6 months. And the response was that because the term started at the time that the board started, and the application didn't come in until about 18 months into the term, the appointment was just for the balance of the term, and that's what council voted on, that, appointment with a term to expire December 2nd. And so there was a request to revise how appointments are done for the local boards, because obviously the council can't change the appointments to any of the other boards because how that's done is set by statute. I don't think it makes sense to do an appointment from or to run a term from the date of appointment. We don't have any other boards in the city that operate that way. I think what would make more sense is we can amend the ordinance and stagger the terms for that particular board. We'll do it, half of them for a 1-year term, the balance for 2-year terms, and then once the term expires, they'll run at 2-year terms, and so then you'll have half be staggered and half not. I don't think it makes a lot of sense to alter how we do terms for one board, because I don't think, I'm not sure why we would do that. I don't know that it makes sense, but I think it would make sense to change how the expiration of the terms work and set them up so that they're staggered. So that would be my recommendation. I'm happy to put together an ordinance that makes that modification, and then that would take effect, and then we would start that process in December in terms of doing the new appointments once the current term is expired.
Yeah.
So I know it's been 4 years, Colin. Remind me, these boards and commissions are officially term limited, or can they be reappointed after serving a term?
And I should say, the specific board we're talking about was an advisory board that was established by ordinance. Currently that board has a 2-year term. The individuals that are appointed would need to be reappointed and can be reappointed following the conclusion of their term on December 2nd, and there are currently 3 open seats on that board.
Out of how many?
I believe it's 7.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, they just, the most recent appointment, just created a quorum on the board.
And that's our equity task force. I know we've been working for, I would say, about 2 years to get that board formally established. Former council member Spicer was the one who brought forward the resolution which established that, task force. And so we've been struggling to get that board filled, but we now have a quorum and they are going to move forward with meeting.
Okay.
Any other questions? Yep. Sorry.
There was also a question about whether or not there was a sunset on the equity task force. There isn't. The reason we set it up as an advisory board is because hypothetically, the duties associated with it could have extended beyond 2 years, and our charter has a 2-year limit on committees, and so by establishing it as an advisory board, we did it that way specifically so that it could go beyond that time frame if needed.
And that replaces, was it the Human Relations Committee?
There was a
or-
Human Relations quote-unquote committee that, as long as I've been city attorney, I don't think that's ever been populated, that I can recall. So it made sense to replace that with this.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments? So in our updated council packet, we had the application for Mark Newman, who is currently the Vice President of Institutional Advancement, to get appointed to the EDC. He would replace Ray Barclay. Do I have a motion to approve?
We have that in our package?
It was in the updated
It
link.
was in the updated.
Updated link.
email.
So moved.
Support.
Questions or comments?
I didn't see it.
Councilman Waller?
Yes, when does the term end?
For Mr. Newman? I'm not sure.
7/1 of 2026. So it's an initial appointment.
Okay, thanks so much.
Williams?
Is there a reason that wasn't printed?
It was in the updated.
It was republished and sent out, which we've done standard with any
I guess I
updated
said,
packets.
what time was it? Because I've been looking at it all day.
Oh, that was on
Friday.
Friday?
I seen it.
You seen it?
I didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
I did not see it.
I didn't see it either. I've been on it for the last couple days.
It was republished early Friday.
Yeah.
What were the two?
It's just Mark Newman.
Just one, Mark Newman. For the EDC. And stuff here. So that's right. Mark Newman.
Have a motion and support. City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Future agenda items. Any, yes, Councilman Lawler?
Yes, I would like to have a work session to, for us to discuss putting the, marijuana on the ballot of November.
Colin?
That, I would suggest we have a closed session, because I have some discussion that council should have privately before doing a public work session on that. So I'm happy to get you, we'll schedule a closed session, and I can give you what I need to talk to you about in that, but I would strongly recommend doing that before doing that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep, I have a closed session
Yeah,
next.
that's AEDC.
We haven't used our closed session for today. It's only 8:15.
We're going to have to push you to the side now.
We remember the good old days.
No, we have to push you to the side today. Sorry.
What he was applying.
Any other future agenda items? Yes,
I
City
do. We will
Manager.
probably have an expenditure request. As you're aware, our AC unit has gone out, unfortunately, again in the council chamber. We have come before council the past few years to have it repaired. At the last time that we called to have it serviced, they said that this system is at its end of life, and they strongly recommend that we move forward with fully replacing that. So I will work with Director Miller to get quotes on both, to see if they can come in and repair, or to what the cost would be to completely replace this unit. But I suggest we move forward with that sooner rather than later. Last week was a very hot week, and we are just entering into the summer months. That just goes, Whiteman, they've just finished with the facility assessment on City Hall. This is just one piece. We have a lot of upgrades and updates that we need to do to this building. So you can expect to see that request come before you.
I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Jackson?
Yes, Cullen, I would like to see that you put something together for that Equity Advisory Board. I just don't want that to fall.
No. Yeah, I'll get it to you at a future meeting. If not, the next meeting.
That's
I'll
fine.
get it for you for the second meeting in June.
That's
at
good.
the latest, yeah.
Because we finally got that going, so, yes.
We'll do.
Thank you.
Any other items? All right. Public comments. At this time, if we have anybody in the gallery that would like to address council, they have this opportunity to stand and will be given 3 minutes. Nobody in chamber? Anybody online?
Good evening, everyone.
Hi, Linda.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the discussion items regarding the boards and commissions. Just for clarification purpose and complete context, the item regarding the process was just making sure that every applicant does receive a response, whether they move forward as an actual candidate or they're unable to move forward. I think it's really important that we're communicating with anyone who wants to serve. And then with regard to the new boards and commissions that have yet to actually begin meeting, my biggest concern was just that there was consistency across the board, and trying to better understand the process. So if I just heard correctly, a member was just approved to serve on the EDC who was taking the place of a former member, and they have their term goes until July of 2026. And so I'm not sure if that is consistent with the other terms. When I served on previous boards like the DDA, the terms expired in December. So I'm just wanting to make sure that all of the board's appointments are being treated consistently, but then also with regard to the new boards that have yet to be serving, it appeared that all 4 of the members who have applied would all have to reapply at the end of this year. So I'm glad to hear that perhaps that's not the case. I'm still not clear exactly if all the board members would have to reapply at the end of the year. And then some would have a staggered term of just 1 year and have to reapply. But I do appreciate the discussion and perhaps getting these things in writing so that it's clear for everyone who's not able to participate in the meetings would also help.
Thank you, Ms. Lanu. Do we have anybody else? All right. City Manager's report.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So a copy of my manager's report was included in the packet, and moving forward, I will not read over everything that is. I'm starting to get winded just with something pushing up against my lungs. But I do have a few additional updates that I would like to share with everybody. The city, we did submit our MEDC WRI CDBG grant application this past Friday, May 13th, for the Dean and Hoagland Drive improvements that will include complete replacement of water, sewer, storm sewer, roadway and curb as where it's necessary, as well as upgrading the sidewalk ramps to be ADA compliant. So that was successfully submitted, and we are just hoping to receive approval of that application. And I also just share, I participated in the Marshall Public Schools strategic planning event this past Saturday. Councilmember Reed attended that event as well. I think it was a worthwhile time to spend a Saturday to work with many Marshall Public Schools leaders as well as community leaders to discuss how to improve the conditions of our school system here. In addition to the updates that I've included, I've also included individual department reports as well as the EDC's director report. And then you will find that there's a fiscal year 2022 strategic goals like breakdown. This is something that you will find in all of my manager's report moving forward. It was through the request of council that you receive quarterly updates on the process or of the strategic goals that we set for that year. So now you will have an update at every meeting to see where we are at with those goals that were set. I'm happy to share that there has been movement on quite a few of the goals, and one has completely been completed, which was to solidify the contract for recreation participation. Happy to share that was completed back in April with us entering into a service agreement with the Battle Creek YMCA through 2024 to provide all recreation services for the city of Albion. So feel free to share this with your precincts, with anytime you're talking with any constituents. You now will have an update on where we stand with the strategic goals set for that year. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for our city manager? Councilwoman Lawler?
Yes. So do you have, and maybe I missed it, a plan when you'll be doing the flushing of the fire hydrants? Because I know, like, over by my precinct, if you do it in fours or however you plan to do it, I can try to make them aware, or any other precinct, make them aware that, washing clothes may not be a good idea, or, some of those things like that.
I can double check with Director Miller and then Superintendent Heston to see which area they are starting at, and I will be happy to provide that with council so that we can I have not seen an actual schedule on the different areas that they were starting. I just know that they shared that they will start to do hydrant flushing throughout the city. I believe it's this week and over the next few weeks here in May, so I'd be happy to follow up with that.
Okay, thank you so much. If you could just put it like in fours, like different, like we do the
similar to the,
sweeper.
yep.
Okay. That would be great. Thanks so much.
Councilman Williams?
Yes, the draft city comprehensive plan,
Yes,
has that been added online yet?
it has. There's a link on the city's website. It's also, you can find a link on the city's Facebook page to take you to that draft plan. And then we also have hard copies here at City Hall for residents to stop in and view.
Okay, when was it added?
It was added the following after you guys formally approved the release of that. So it's been out there for some time now.
I've been looking and I haven't been able to find it on the link that even says comprehensive plan. I think it took me to the old comprehensive plan.
Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, it was added right on the main page of the website, and then that link was shared on Facebook as well.
Okay, so maybe I navigated it incorrectly.
We can refresh it to make sure that it's up at the top, but it was released that following day after you guys formally approved that public viewing.
Okay, I'll check again.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions, comments?
Just out of my report, the one thing I do want to know is the next town hall meeting for the proposed road millage has been scheduled for Wednesday, May 25th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. It'll be held at St. Paul Lutheran Church. So far, we've had 2 town hall meetings. The last one was on Thursday, May 5th here at City Hall from 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. We had a decent amount of turnout from residents, good conversation, good questions. I would just encourage all residents to continue to attend those town hall sessions to hear about this important initiative that we have going on in our community. I would also encourage you, every council member, to share this information with constituents within your precincts. Because as I shared, this is going to take the 3/5 majority approval from the voters that turn out on that August election day. So I think we are all here about the condition of our roads. It's very important that we educate our residents on what this will do for our city roads moving forward.
All right. Mayor or council member comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Councilman Lawler.
It's okay. I'll do it during the council member comments, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead. Floor is
Okay.
yours now.
I have a couple things. For the county park naming ceremony of the McAuliffe Park, are we able, or do we have money to at least upgrade the Tillman Cornelius field sign? It will look probably very nice. Could you check into it to see if we do, if we have the ceremony there? I see a new board that was up there, so that looked pretty nice. So I was just wondering if we had any money left for, to upgrade the Tillman Cornelius sign there.
So we just talked about this at our last week's Recreation Advisory Commission. So through the DeNicola donation to the Community Foundation, funds have been allocated to upgrade all signage within the city parks. So there are some funds available, and we will look to upgrade all signs here in city parks here moving forward.
Okay, great, thank you so much. And also, I see on here for the communications plan, under additional Albion nonprofit organizations, I don't see Double Vision. Is there a reason that they are not there?
That I can't speak on that.
Could they be added?
Yep, we definitely can add it, but I
Okay.
can't speak on to, I wasn't a part of this process back in 2019.
Okay, can you find out, please?
Oh, you're referring to the
For the
communication plan?
The communications plan. Lastly, thank you so much, Andy French, for applying. I agree that, yes, you do have the experience on the board, and I do agree with the encouraging words of the 6th Precinct constituent that spoke on your behalf. I wanted to also thank Ms. Devin Mays for applying and for her top 3 priorities. That is what attracted me to that candidate. Hopefully she was not discouraged. In addition to the encouraging words from the 6th Precinct constituent, your 3 priorities was very different from what your constituent was wanting. And it was very different talk than what I'm normally used to. So I just hope that you can include in your priorities equity, economic, and fairness for city residents and all businesses. I do hope that you can continue to leave your door open as you have in previously council years for me, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Marcola. Your suggestion is indeed a good one. We have to always be mindful of all our citizens as we serve on this board, as well as represent our own constituencies within our own precinct. But in the current day and age, a focus on inclusion and diversity is important. So I will look to you all for such guidance. So thank you.
Any other council member comments? Yep, Councilman Reed.
I just wanted to announce that Juneteenth is going to be at June 18th at Howland Park, and we're going to be honoring Mrs. Carrie Anderson, who was the person who brought Juneteenth, who started the first Juneteenth ceremony here in Albion. She passed away in March, and so this year we will be honoring her. at the Juneteenth celebration. A lot of things planned, so come out.
Wonderful. Yep.
I just have a question regarding Calhoun County's rising COVID numbers and what the city is planning on doing with regard to mask wearing at public events inside. So just put that out there if people are interested in having that conversation. It doesn't have to necessarily be at a council meeting, but our numbers are up there. And so we're back to where we were when we required masks indoors for meetings. And so I would encourage us to do the same to protect our citizens and those who are unable to be vaccinated.
City Manager Snyder?
Yes, I actually sent out an update to all of our city employees last Friday, just based off the recent communications that were released through our county health department. We are a high-risk community or county. I think we're one of 16 in the state, and they are recommending the use of masks whenever possible. So we will continue to monitor any communications that are released from the county health department, and then make the necessary adjustment and changes to city operations. So we are keeping a close watch.
Thank you.
On that.
Yep, Colin?
So I just wanted to take a moment to thank the members of council and the city staff that offered their thoughts and prayers for my wife in that she in February sat for the Michigan bar, and the thoughts and prayers apparently worked because she passed.
Good job.
And so now if you see the gray on the side of my head start to fade, back to what it was before, that is why. So thank you to everyone.
There's something called Grecian formula. Same.
Touch of gray.
Gentlemen.
Any other comment?
I forgot one.
Yes, Councilman Wallace?
Okay. I would have the great opportunity to attend the food summit at Albion College. It was great. Something I never experienced before, but listening to all the different people in our community that help provide food. If any of us happen to go out and talk to these different organizations that deal with food, can we please ask them the question about baby formula? That would be so great, and because it is a concern. Appreciate it.
So, Mr. French, I appreciate your willingness to step in to help fill a seat for Precinct 6. Every person in our community deserves to have a voice at this table. So I know that you will do your best to serve your constituents, to listen, and to bring forth their concerns. So I appreciate you stepping up. Thank you. Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
All right. Do I have a support?
Support.
City Clerk Domingo?
Councilmember Williams,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Jackson,
Yes.
Waller,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
and Mayor Snyder.
Yes. Meeting adjourned, 8:35 PM.
Congratulations.